Hello and welcome to the Arena Sports Show. My name is Clauiee Grace Mpanza and we're absolutely excited to have you alongside us, of course, in this episode as we celebrate two phenomenal women and we get to, of course, spend more time with them and get to know what they've been getting up to. And, of course, they work in the industry. But I'm not alone. I have my favorite influencer alongside me, Mahlatse Mphahlele, who joins me today. Unfortunately, Mr. Click Click Bang Sizwe could not join us. But you know what they say about, of course, those who click away. They can just disappear at any time. But influencers, good having you. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I think Sizwe is suspended again.
Listen, for good 2 matches, I presume.
I think we will just get rid of him now.
We need a new team member. So if you're interested, let us know. We can have you join us abroad.
Yeah.
But you good? How's your week been?
I'm good. It's very busy, eh? Springboks, Triggers coming back.
Yeah.
CSA announcing a new sponsor with Holiday Bets. So it's kuningi.
Yeah. But in a good way.
Yeah, so busy is good. So we're very busy, yeah.
No,
today also is a Bafana squad announcement, so yeah, we're running around.
No, it's absolutely good to help you also shed off a little bit of those kilos because I know you're trying to build that six-pack in just a bit. So this helps you in an immense way. But we do have a jam-packed show for you lined up today. So much to look forward to. But before we get into our conversation, let's quickly find out what's been happening in the world of sport through your top stories.
Towering Springbok lock Eben Elizabeth has been cleared to face the All Blacks in the crucial rugby championship clash at Ellis Park on Saturday after completing all the training sessions this week, and he has been drafted onto the replacement bench. Cricket South Africa has announced betting giants Holiday Bets as their official title sponsor for the CSA Professional Women's League, now titles the Hollywood Bets Pro Series. Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie has dissolved the Boxing South Africa board with immediate effect, deciding against spending more money on a court case to keep them in office, though it had appeared winnable.
Well, we do know a lot has been happening in the world of sport, and that leads us to choosing our star of the week. We'll start with the man that's away, Sizwe. Let's find out who he chooses as his star of the week.
Hi guys, my star of the week, or stars of the week in this case, are Stellenbosch FC for the perfect start to the season. They've done well in the CAF Confederations Cup, winning convincingly against Hospers of Eswatini over 2 legs, and also what they've done in the MTN8 against Mamelodi Sundowns especially, which for me was really special out in Pretoria in the away leg of the 2 legs of the semi-final. They could have won by more than the 1 goal, had a bit of luck on their way, but I thought their approach to the game against Sundowns was incredibly impressive. Defensively, they worked hard. Stacey Stevens alone as the goalkeeper could have won the player of the week, but I give it to the whole crew, the whole group with Stephen Barker. Lovely plan for the start of the season, lovely start to the season. Good luck to them going into the second leg, but also thank you to them for showing us early this season that for those that plan well and can do well, Mamelodi Sundowns can be beaten. So it makes things all the more interesting this season. So player of the week, no doubt, Stellenbosch FC.
Definitely interesting, of course, from Sizwe saying that Mamelodi Sundowns can be beaten. Influencer, who's your star of the week?
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is that the boy is a star.
Yeah.
I think we should be proud that in South Africa right now, we own the fastest teenager in the world. Banyana Banyana is a 100-meter champion at youth level.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried when they came back from the Olympics with that too much noise around him. I felt, not only him, but even with Nkwana. I was a bit worried that maybe they may not have enough time to prepare for these junior championships. And it looked like they were sort of, kept their feet on the ground to forget about what happened at the Olympics and to change focus and focus on what is happening now. And I'm quite happy. There's going to be a lot of pressure again on him, but what he has done so far, absolutely fantastic, and I'm happy for him. And Nkwana getting also the bronze medal in the 100 meters. So we're looking good in terms of the sprints.
Yeah.
It looks like when Akani later decides to leave the stage, we'll have younger players who will come through, and then I'm happy about that. So from that, Walaza is my star of the week. And let's hear from you, who's your star of the week?
Well, I had to choose a phenomenal lady. When you talk about bounce back, Naomi Osaka, I think she's doing exactly that at the US Open. Not only she's doing it on court, but also, of course, in terms of how she's dressed. I think we're calling it the Tinkerbell outfit, where she looked absolutely stunning, head to toe, literally even as sneakers. She looked great. And the fact that in over 4 years, this is the first time that she beats a top 10 opponent. So it's absolutely impeccable what she's doing. And I'm hoping that it continues. And of course, we do know she's been going through a lot mentally as well. So it's great to see her getting back to where she belongs. As we do know, she's a star. So absolutely great to see Naomi Osaka doing well at the US Open. But Mahlatse Mphahlele, Sizwe Mabena mentions Mamelodi Sundowns being beaten, that it is possible in this season. Talk to us about what you saw, and is it too soon perhaps for such comments, and where now teams can also believe that maybe there's a chance to actually win the league?
Is it too soon? Yes and no. They're playing a different brand of football to what Rwanda used to do. I had someone yesterday say they're playing how-trained football. They're too quick on the transition and going forward and all that kind of thing. But I think it's too soon. There hasn't been too much change in terms of the players. The core of the players that were there during Johannes' time are still there. Bar one addition here and there, notably Sales, the South American guy. He came through yesterday. You can see there are touches there, but he may need time to get used to South African football. Stellenbosch are always a difficult side to beat. Even though if you look at their general work, generally, I wasn't overly impressed with their work against Polokwane City. Last night they lay but and they lost the match, and that's one thing that we need to also not forget. So in general, I understand the fans who are a little bit unsure of what the future holds, but maybe they need to be a little bit patient. The technical team is quite experienced. The players are experienced. It's just, I think, an issue of maybe them galvanizing, going back to basics and trying to come better. I mean, even in the past, you remember, even from Coach Pitso, Coach Ulani, Sundowns have generally not done well in the MTN8. So, but you feel that if they lose this match, there will be more pressure, because already now the fans are a little bit apprehensive of what's going on at the club. And for their sake, I hope they come back and do well on Sunday. Because the country is waiting for the final. You know which one, Mus. They're waiting for Sundowns final. If it happens, it will be good.
The citizens, though, have a different opinion.
Of
because
course.
the citizens think that it's going to be a Western Cape final. So hey,
you know. So either way, it should be a good final. We can have a Cape Town derby, or we can have Sundowns against Paris again. Yeah. You know. So it should be fun. But here at Orlando, Cape Town City, Orlando buzzes, and when that stadium is packed, it's very difficult to beat them there. And Pirates have started off well.
Escotine for a reason, right?
So, but the final.
All right, we'll definitely see who goes to the final. Let's quickly find out what Mangoba Mngiti has to say. And then on the flip side, we've got two phenomenal ladies who are joining us. Lelentle Mosimane and Kaylin Swart will be a part of the conversation.
I would say sometimes I feel some of the best moments are few and far between, but I do see what we are trying to achieve, and I do see the team getting stronger as we progress, and I do see the team achieving more than what we achieved last season. But I just felt that we did not want to grab the control of the game, and we did not capitalize on, I think, the challenges they had in the wide channels. I think Terence was open from the beginning of the first half. Mudau was free for the better part of the first half, but we were not just rotating the ball enough to get into those areas. And when we did get into those areas, I think we always looked very potent. I'm very optimistic we're on the right track.
Joining us now is Lelentle Mosimane and Kaylin Swart, and unfortunately they didn't send us the dress code email. Me and the influencer got it completely wrong, but at least I got a bit of black, so I can forgive myself with matching with Kaylin. You're completely off. A clear sign. You are not supposed to be here today.
But you must remember, red for danger.
Red for danger. But of course, Kaylin, Banyana Banyana keeper, and Lele is an official at the Peter Mosimane schools, of course, that they're busy doing as well to make sure that the development in the country is growing. Ladies, how you guys doing? We'll start with you, Kaylin. Geez, it's been a while since we've seen you. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a while. Thanks for having me again. But yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Absolutely,
you.
same. Lele, you and I normally meet up in Formula One streets. It's
Yes.
different today.
Oh, no.
Football space now.
Football space now, but how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, fantastic. So let's get then straight into the conversation. I'll start with you, Kaylin. I mean, 2024, a different year in terms of the major women's sporting events. I mean, I think last year was a big year for, for the ladies in terms of the sporting events that were happening. We named it the year for her, for the girl child, right? So 2024, I don't know from your perspective, but it seems like that momentum that we had has just kind of declined a bit. Well, how do you see that on your side?
Yeah, so obviously 2023 was a big year for us.
Yeah.
And I think for women's sport in general, 2023 was great. I think the World Cup obviously elevated a lot of the things that we achieved and we did. But yeah, I think in 2024, obviously not qualifying for the Olympics was really heartbreaking, and I think that was the one tournament that we needed to be at. And I mean, one game, one goal, that's all that decided, the fate for us. But I do think that with all of this, I think we have a different view of what it is to, work hard and continue to be on the grind, because now if we look forward to 2025, we have the AFCON coming up, and we have a couple games coming up now for Banyana. So I do think that the break kind of helped a little just for the mind, because as much as we exhausting ourselves physically, but mentally I think that's what a lot of us struggle with. But yeah, I do think that the league and all of that being a part of the growth of our players individually. But yeah, I think next year is going to be a big year for us, because obviously we want to win AFCON again and go back to back. So yeah, that would be the massive achievement for us.
2024, the buzz, how have you seen that?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. I think obviously the Olympics would have been, a continuation of what we achieved in 2023. But I think even though if you could see the way we played and how much we've grown as a team, I think that will continue, because we're all still so hungry for, success. And I think being away from something for a while, you still crave that. So I do think that 2024, the momentum obviously wasn't what we wanted, but I think the next couple of months will definitely tell us where we are and where we're heading into the new year.
Lele, you're close to development. I mean, with the Peter Mosimane schools. Talk to us about that. What have you seen on the ground? Your interest with the kids as well, because we've seen a lot of talent, and not only for the kids, the coaches as well, that are home ground and of course based to make sure that they also grow their talent.
Yeah, so the Peter Mosimane Soccer Schools has been a project that has been in the works for so long. It's just now started, hit the ground running. 2023 is when we really started last year, and the vision is very simple, very clear. As you say, it's development, football development, through MT Sports, who are the project managers. So we kind of roll out the Coach Beetle's projects, which mainly is the soccer schools, and being on the ground and seeing the impact is so overwhelming, but in a good way. You see the hunger for the sport, you see the love for the sport, and also you see the need for a structure in it, so these kids grow in a structured environment, boys and girls, so the girls can also get the opportunity, like what Kaylin's doing and what Banyana's doing. It's insane being on the ground. And also the happiness, that's the biggest thing. The kids have so much fun. Just seeing them have fun and enjoy and hug the coaches, and it's just lovely. It's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
And I've been around you guys for a while now, and one thing I've noticed, particularly from you, is that you have sort of taken this thing as a baby, and you fall in love with the project, and as we say, in seeing the kids and stuff. This is something that is very, very special for you.
Yeah, I think Coach Peter has always said, And I think he said it a couple of times to people that you need to do what you love. I think having been born into a family that is a football family, I was not entirely really forced to love it. It happened naturally. I didn't study football. Yes, I played at some stage, but I wasn't forced into it. It's a choice that I made, and a choice that I made because it's something I love. So yeah, it's something very close to home because it's something from home. Do you get what I mean? It's a project that will live on beyond coach, beyond myself, beyond the generations. It's something where we're trying to contribute to the football in our country and put structure, as I say. The biggest thing is just a structured space for a child, because that's what children need.
And I'm glad that you also mentioned, the family structure, because Kaylin, that same goes for you. You come from a home that loves sport. You've played cricket. You did every sporting code you could in high school. Talk to us about the
You were a wicket keeper.
I was an all-rounder.
And in everything, because in football you were a striker, you played in midfield, and you ended up in being a goalkeeper. But talk to us about your development and how far you've come in your game.
Yeah, I think what we have now, I wish we had when I was in primary school, and I mean, we all have our own pathway, and we all got to the type of sport or be the sportsman you are in your own right. And obviously the development does play a part, and I think my development started in the street, and a lot of us have that same story. And the kids of today, there's so much more resources now, there's so many more academies, the development has grown so much. And for me, I think it's just being a part of the family and my friends that, football was just always something that we did for fun. And but for me, yes, I did everything, but I think football was always my first love. As much as I loved cricket, I loved rugby, I did athletics, so I did a lot of things, but football was always that one sport that I felt that was me, and but yeah, I think the development has grown so much, and it's just so awesome to see that, the girls have their own space, the boys have their own space. But I think if we can bring development as an overall thing, I think a lot of the sports will grow so much more, because there's people involved that are invested into development, and having the kids have, like she said, have fun. Because for me, I always preach that, when you have fun, things just become easier, and you just have that enjoyment, and that's what you want all the time. So yeah, it's awesome, and I look forward to the future, because I see so much talent coming through, the ranks with primary school, the football and all of that. So yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Kaylin, talking about cricket, I'm in the mold of Jack Callis, so also a very, very clinical all-rounder. But I think getting back to the issues, you've been around football for a long time, and just maybe to check, how has things changed? Because I can clearly, imagine it was not as it was now. Especially for the women's football. How has it changed, and how far has women's football sort of become?
The change is massive. The growth of women's football is so imminent now than it's been 10 years ago, and I think the game has changed, the speed of play, the tempo, the physicality. I think that is a lot of the attributes of being a good sportsman, just having that foundation of, going through the ranks, going through being a kid, playing for fun, and now being a job. And yeah, I think it's just the amount of investment that was done in women's football is crazy, because when I was in high school, football was so different then to what it is now. And a lot of us went through the HBC in Pretoria, and that was our foundation. That was our foundation. And having us all be in the national team now is crazy to think that we all came through that rank, and but yeah, it's grown so much, and everyone wants to watch women's football now. Believe it or not, women's football is, they say the future is female, which is, I mean, 100%. We can't argue that, because women's football has grown so much, and now that it's on a global stage, there's so much more investment, there's so much more eyes on the women's game. So yeah, it's grown a lot.
And to you, Lele, I mean, you're part in the space now. What have you found when you entered the industry?
I come from a space where high school was very, like I said, it was structured. It was, these are the rules. This is how things are done. And then you go into university and you're thrown into a space
You're a
where,
Viti, by the way.
yes, I'm a Viti. I'm a proud Viti. And you get thrown into university and you have to figure it out. But there's still some sort of a structure of how things are done. I, for one, didn't know football had the structures that it had. I didn't know football had opened doors for people the way it has, outside of being a player or a coach. So I came in really not thinking that I wanted to be in football. I came in just helping my dad with his social media, and it just kicked off a passion that I didn't know I had. And for me, it's shown me the love of football, how people eat, breathe, and sleep it, how people, you know, some people it's their bread and butter, some people, like, just the passion. I didn't even know I had the passion in myself as well. So just working in the sports marketing, sports, social media space, it kind of opened my eyes of what is possible, where it could go, and how the game is giving so many people so many different opportunities, really.
And when I started many years ago, I could never have imagined that young people can go to school and just become social media managers.
I know.
That was not even something that was in the realms of possibility. It just shows you how life has changed, and you know, obviously still talking on the issue of women. And I mean, when I started all those years ago, there were not too many women in the space. It was largely men, but obviously it's encouraging to see that a lot of women have entered the space now. The most of the women that have been there, you know, maybe in the PR space especially. Maybe Felicia is still there, and Tisa from Sports. There was a lady called Meki Sikoto. She has left the industry now, Lex Miller and others. But now it's encouraging to see that more and more and more women are coming to the sport. And also, at that time, women's football was not as strong. I remember Desert Elisa covered Desert Elisa as a player and all that. Banyana was also strong at that time. But things have changed, and it's nice to see that you know, not only in South Africa but the world has embraced women coming into the space, has embraced women's sports, and women football is, especially the World Cup, I think some of the matches there are better than some of the men's. You keep glued on the screen, and the quality is good, and you know, the improvement is there. In our case, I think what is more needed is just the investment. I think, Kaylin, you can talk about it. I think it's so discouraging that if you guys had qualified for the Olympics, the discussion of professionalizing women's football will have been up now. We are quiet now. You guys will qualify for the World Cup, and then we'll start talking again. But just how frustrating is this thing that you know, these guys are taking too long to professionalize you guys?
Yeah, it's very frustrating, because I do feel that we've already, you know, provided the foundation for them to really look into it and say, you know, we've achieved so many things, but yet we still don't have a professional league. And it's hard, because for us as players in the league, like, as much as we would love to just, you know, focus on football, but there's obviously other avenues that, you know, we have to focus on. But to be be called a professional footballer, everything needs to be professional. You know, like the resources, the traveling, the accommodation, all of those, the facilities. Those are the things that we are crying about. And, you know, yes, there's progress, but it's slow progress. And for us now, I think it should have been elevated long ago, you know, before we even got to the World Cup. I think we should have had a professional league, because, I mean, if you look at the way we play and how we conduct ourselves, you would think that we are professionals. But that's only because we have so much pride in what we do, that we will show the world that even though we don't have the resources, we are, you know, treating ourselves as professionals. And I think that is something that needs to be addressed ASAP. Because obviously going into another World Cup or another Olympics, by then we should have been already established as professionals. And yeah, I think it just needs to, you know, this process needs to
Just hurry up.
hurry up a little bit. Yeah.
And I mean, also,
agree.
the other sad thing is that at some stage in the country, we had a woman, Minister of Sports.
Yeah.
And I think, she tried. Obviously, it's a difficult, political issues that she needed to deal with. But I think she should have pushed more, at least to get to a level. Because with due respect, the Hollywood Bed is not a really full proper
Yeah.
league. And we need a professional netball league. We need a professional rugby league. We need a professional women's football league, and also Olympic sports. I mean, there's also some areas in terms of our Olympic sports where our ladies are not really supported the way they should,
sure.
and we need to get there. If we get there, the opportunities are endless. I mean, I can see us going to a semi-final for World Cup here.
Absolutely. And I think also a lot of the things that, we talk about professionalism and, professionalizing the leagues and the different sports, but with that comes investment with money and, the resources that are given to us to make sure that we can perform at the highest level, And it's not just football. You mentioned the number of sports, but I do think, we can take a leaf from Cricket SA, the way they, professionalize the women's cricket game and how
Their own contract now.
100%. And those are the type of things that, if every sportswoman has that, I think you'll see so much growth. You'll see so much, I don't know, the competitiveness will be even more, because now this is our job. This is what we do day in, day out. And yeah, I think that would definitely be something. I think it's just investment and money.
I think you're putting Leila under pressure because she's an administrator now.
So she must have this
She
conversation.
must make sure that she, part of her job going forward, will make sure that they work very hard behind the scenes to create an enabling environment for you guys to perform better. So
Lele, hint, hint, wink, wink.
No pressure. No, but I think also it's. I think also our leaders need to also show us that it is possible, and I think the leaders that I've been exposed to through MT Sports, our MD Moira Tlhagale, she's just shown us the way she leads in the industry. Kind of shows you that it's not impossible. Like you can do it. Just put your mind to it. There's nothing. She always says that you always have to put logic behind what you're doing, and it will work. It will work if you just use logic, and she shows us. I mean, what she's done with Coach Pitso and placing him in spaces there that we didn't think was possible. It gives me that. It gives me the confidence to say that, okay, cool, if I have a plan and I use logic and I do things according to a strategy, it will happen. And as Kaylin says, it's about professionalizing, it's about structure. You don't just walk in and then say, okay, I'm going to do ABC. There has to be purpose behind everything that you do, and I think that's what we need in football.
So we touched on social media as one of the things that you're doing, but it's also a big part of all of us. I mean, we live in social media. There's no day where you don't spend the time on your phone, which is absolutely insane. But as much as it's a blessing, I think a bit of it is a little bit of the downside. There's also a negativity that we see on social media. And I'll start with you, Kaylin, because you look at the fact that when you guys were also preparing for the World Cup, there was so much, as much as, yes, it was happy to say, yes, the girls are standing together, it's great to see, and what they're fighting for is on point, but there's also negativity on the other side saying, no, but who do they think they are? And you're just like, but we're just fighting for the equal thing here in terms of equal treatment. Talk to us about the role that social media plays, and perhaps also the negativity that it brings on your platform as well.
Yeah, I think, like I always say, social media is a blessing and a curse, because the blessing is we're able to market ourselves as brands and individuals, and you see a little bit of our lives outside of the field and outside of what we actually do for a job. And the curse is when obviously things are not going great, people think they're entitled to have, yes, we're all entitled to our own opinion, but your opinion shouldn't override everything that individual is trying to do, in terms of what they do as a player. And because we're human beings outside of football, as a footballer, yes, you see us, you have all the right to say, oh, she's not good, she's not this, she's not that, but we're human too. So sometimes I think we just need to be considerate of the person and of what we do. So yeah, I mean, social media is a great tool to market and to be a brand and to show a different side of you, because a lot of people want to see you outside of what you do, and I think that's what, you know, social media should be. It should be a positive light, and you know, it should be something that everyone would want to do. But yeah, there's a lot of stories where you hear, you know, professional athletes stepping away from social media for mental health, and that's a big deal, because as much as it's a great tool to use, it's also something that really brings us down. And you know, because you see a lot of comments and you see this and you see that, and as negative as they are, you got to also try to bring out the positivity in it. But sometimes it's so hard, you know, to look at the, you know, a negative comment to try and put it into a positive thing. But
can I quickly ask you a question on that? Is it mainly guys or females that bring the negativity on your side?
I think it's a lot of guys, you know. It's a lot of men that.
That's where I
obviously
hide.
For me personally, I've always experienced, you know, men having the negative comments, and but I mean, sometimes, you know, people are sitting at home, they're watching the game, and you know, people think they are better than, you know, Coach Desiree Ellis, or people are trying to sit on the couch and trying to coach us at home on the TV. So yeah, it's a tough situation, but I mean, sometimes you just gotta, you know, block out the noise and just focus on yourself and focus on what you do, because you know why you're there and what your capabilities are. And sometimes those comments don't really benefit your life. And you know, for me, I've always, you know, it's been a while, but yeah, I just think it's a great tool, but it also can be the worst tool.
100%. And from your side, Lele, I mean, we know your dad also being in media. There's also been a lot of saying, okay, this is not great. A lot of you are not happy. How have you also handled it in terms of not only social media, but media? We were talking with the influencer off air that sometimes he would write terrible articles and then it would become a fight. But how are you taking that?
I think it's, so long as you know the truth is what your truth is, it shouldn't really matter that much. But on the other side, as Kaylin was saying, there's a good and a bad side. Is that the good side is that somebody can bring a different perspective and kind of say, hey, why don't you think about this situation like this, right? But I think social media comes with a lot of responsibility for everyone, and I think not everybody takes that responsibility the way it should be taken, because we always say, if you don't have something nice to say, rather don't say it. But also, I think social media has allowed people to have a voice, because back in the day, you could just read what's on articles and whatnot, and that's your perspective. But social media allows people to say, hey, no, maybe not like that, maybe that's not what happened. It gives a little bit of another truth into the stories that are written or that are created. But in my personal life, we weren't really exposed to media growing up. Yes, you hear stories and you see newspaper articles, and at school people would talk, hey, your dad does this, but we weren't really exposed to it. We were children, me and my siblings, we just did child things. It's only when you grow up, I think when Coach Pitso moved to Egypt, that's when we became more in the media light, and people started taking notice of who's who. But our parents never really exposed us to it like that, and still to this day, we're not exposed to media as, oh, this is media. It's for me, it's a job now. Ria sees it when he does, Kopano as well. So it doesn't really affect us like that, because we were brought up in a space where it's not a big deal.
And how hectic was Alakli, because whoa, the fans there. I'm sure they will just mute the comments there.
I think
or maybe also they are in Arabic, so we don't really know what's going on.
No, it's insane. I think we grew followers like crazy. I wasn't even like social media like that. But now we don't understand. They write in Arabic anyway, so if you want to go translate,
it's up to you.
On a personal level, I mean, we are on social media, and I recently spoke to, I mean, she knows, I once tweeted something about Keisha Smailula, and I didn't mean any harm, but a lot of people took it the wrong way, because I was just saying, let's just allow the kid to play football. Let's not put too much pressure, because I've seen over the years that the minute we start, overhyping players, they lose it, and it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And apparently he didn't like it. I recently spoke to her manager, and then she said to me, okay, we're talking about something else. And he said, no, okay, but while I still have it online, we have to discuss the elephant in the room. I said, I wish we could have had this discussion earlier, because the intentions of my tweet were this, and not what everybody else thinks. So he took it the wrong way. He felt maybe I was bashing him, but that was not my intention. I was just saying, let's allow him to play football. Let's not put too much pressure. And unfortunately, it was what it was. So a lot of people were killing me on social media. I mean, I had my sister calling me saying, hey, what have you done? But well, obviously for me, because we operate on that space, I normally just don't check the comments. I just leave it. I say what I say. Obviously, I'm responsible, and I'm not. I'm more mature now, and I'm responsible, and I'll never say anything that will cause problems. And if it's my opinion, I say it, and then I walk away. And but people always differ. People sometimes are disrespectful, but. Those are the challenges that come with this space, If you're out there, you put yourself out there, and then you must roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, yeah.
Definitely rolling with the punches. Influencer had to clear that out there. I think he's having a moment.
Yeah, because that was a very, very, it was a bad one.
Yeah, it's the first time you actually bring it up on the show, so clearly you have to bring that up. But Kaylin, I mean, when you look into now, going forward and where you see the women's game, yes, you talk about professionalizing it, but when you look into your personal space, I mean, you're turning 30 on the 30th of September, so not so long, which is actually pretty cool, 30th of the 30th.
Yeah.
I think you should do something big. But in terms of then your personal growth as well, as to where you see yourself, because I remember there's a time where you were doubting, saying maybe I should just call it quits because of also having to, work full time. But now we are hoping that the process will hurry up a little bit. But how do you see your game also evolving with things changing and, of course, the women's game also growing?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me that I'm getting old.
We both are, girl.
Yeah, as you grow older and you gain a lot of experience and perspective of, where your life is heading. And, in sports, obviously, when you hit 30, they're like, oh, you're old. But
Yes.
if you think about it, as a goalkeeper, we mature and we get better with age. We fine wine, we age like fine wine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me, I'm still so young in my career. Not forget how old I am. Like in my career, I feel like I'm really just starting to really become the goalkeeper that I want to be. And yeah, I think the possibilities are endless. I still have a couple more years to really continue and to play at the highest level. And I don't feel like I'm going to stop anytime soon, because I really feel like I'm only getting better, and mentally I'm getting stronger. And I think that is a big deal for a goalkeeper, because a lot of the things that we do are mental, because our position is so isolated already. So there's so many things that we got to work on to be the best, and I'm continuing to work on myself and making sure that I'm in the best shape possible to perform at the highest level. And yeah, I just hope that I'm doing enough to inspire the young girls that are now starting to play. So yeah, the future is bright, and I just think that I'm getting better, and obviously I'm working on myself. So yeah, there's a lot more to come from Kaylin.
I like that.
So do you agree with this assertion that to be a goalkeeper you need to be a little bit crazy?
Absolutely. And like goalkeepers, we have two personalities.
I agree.
On the field, we are, maniacs, we're crazy, but off the field, we are so chilled, and because a lot of us use football as an escape, and sometimes my real personality comes out onto the field, and then when I'm off the field, and they're like,
You're so chilled.
That was you, you know. So, yeah, but yeah, you have to be a little bit crazy to be a goalkeeper.
I
But
fully
also,
agree
how
with
do
that.
you? Because I mean, you guys shout a lot, and you're always insulting. Well, not insulting, but shouting and
Yeah.
Giving
the
direction as
defenders.
well.
Do you guys discuss this thing in advance? Because I've heard somebody say, no, actually, we actually sit and discuss it. To say, when I'm shouting, don't take it personal. Because
Yeah.
if the defender takes it personal, it can get a bit messy.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes footballers are sensitive people, you know, and you always constantly have to remind them that, hey, like, it's not personal, it's just in the heat of the moment, emotions are high. But yeah, for my teammates, sometimes I do have to sit them down and say, you know what, this is me now off the field, but on the field, I'm a totally different monster, you know, and sometimes things just come out, and yes, there's frustration and there's emotion, but sometimes you just got to remind them that, hey, it's not personal. I still love you, but if we concede, of course I'm gonna be on you. So yeah, it's a fine line. It's a really fine line between you know, being, you know, a leader and just trying to get the best out of your teammates. But yeah, it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot because obviously we're the last line of defense. So if the ball passes us, it's most likely a goal. So yeah, you just gotta, you know, remind your defense that, you know, just you gotta keep them on their toes. That's what I always say. I just gotta keep them on their toes and, you know, make sure that I get the message across the best way possible. But it's also knowing the team, knowing your players, knowing what they respond to and what they don't respond to. So yeah, that's why I said being a goalkeeper, you have to be crazy because there's so many personalities you have to deal with, and you got to know that those player deals with, you know, hardship and, you know, going hard on them, and then there's other players that you got to put your shoulder around them and say, listen, 1, 2, 3. But there's others where you can shout at them, and there's some that you just, you know, it's okay.
That's why it was so fascinating to watch that Paris documentary, that altercation between Maswangani and Koki. In the heat of the moment, they really went at each other because the other one blamed the other one for not doing the job, and but they spoke about it, and you know, on the field they responded, and it's water under the bridge, and it turns out they're actually the best of friends in the team. But when it's work
is work.
I have to call you out. You say, hey, you're killing us here. You have to pull up your socks, and that's how it is. And team sports with 11 people can be very, very difficult.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? When I watched that documentary, it reminded me about, you know, sometimes myself and Babanani will fight on the field, and myself and Jermaine will go at each other. But then everyone's like, guys, it's okay. And I'm like, this is normal. Like, this is how we express ourselves on the field. Because when we walk off the field, we are best of friends again. And I think that also brings a lot of passion and, you know, understanding amongst the team. And I think that builds character also, you know. And I mean, if we didn't love what we do, I think we all would just play it and, you know, that's it, Bob's your uncle. But I think that also brings a lot of passion, and I think that is what drives a lot of teams, is when we are able to express ourselves in whatever way we can and still get the results, you know, because that's what team spirit is, the camaraderie amongst the players. And sometimes I think coaches want to see that, because that means that there's leaders and there's, you know, the players that are able to, you know, bring everyone together. And yeah, I think if we can iron out things in certain ways and brings results, I don't think
there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with
it. Sometimes if you guys don't fight, it means you don't care. You have to
exactly.
fight. You have to fight in a good way, not becoming enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
We're all fighting for the same thing. We all want to win. So if it means I must even say some strong words, you can see on TV.
But Lela, I mean, when we're talking about some of the challenges and, you know, the experience that we see with keepers and, of course, just football, it's all well documented. But on your side, you're more behind the scenes. What are some of the challenges that you encounter when you think, oh my goodness, okay, I didn't expect this one, or perhaps that's an offside. But, you know, in your space as an official and administration, how does that look like, some of those challenges?
Yeah, I think before I answer your question, I just wanted to make a note of the conversation that was happening. When I played football, or I used to play at school, or I used to play with boys because girls didn't want to play. But the girl was always the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Because they don't think you can play in the field.
Yeah.
So just hearing like what Kaylin's saying about the role of the goalkeeper and whatnot, it just gives such a different perspective because for me, goalkeeper as a girl was, we don't want you in the field, so you just got to make sure that
Yeah.
the balls won't even come to you anyways. The
We'll
boys are
protect
playing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the evolving of the sport is amazing. The fact
Yeah.
that I think if more girls had to hear this, it just will open their eyes a little bit more. If I had this perspective,
You would
about
be a goalkeeper
I
right
would've-
now.
Let's go training. Let's go training.
But I think to answer your question, the challenges we face, or I face in this space, I think there is some sort of, I have a lot of frustration with the lack of structure, professionalism. I think you see the other sports, how they, especially overseas, the football, even going to Egypt and seeing how they do things.
Yes.
Just even in the PSL, how at the top level there's so much professionalism that we can improve on, and it all starts at the bottom with the development.
Yeah.
We would like to, as PMSS at MT Sports as well, provide the children with the with the structure, with the opportunity to know that on match day this is what happens. Coaches, this is how you set up your training session. The children to know these are the rules of the game and be taught properly. The referees to also teach the children whilst they're playing. You know, just that whole thing, if we all work together and provide a space where the children are familiar with what football looks like.
There's actually something you did in terms of like teaching the kids interviews and all of that. I love that aspect. Just so that they get comfortable with the camera as well.
Yes, MT Sports, we did it through the Mahlatse Mphahlele Foundation. We brought children from the Val to come play in a tournament in Edenvale, and I came up with that idea with the team as well. We worked together to see how we can give these children a space where they feel like they're actually professional footballers, and take it home and say, oh no, there is this opportunity, there is this is what happens, because you only see it on TV when they do post-match interviews or pre-match. So just providing them with that space of development where it's not just playing, but also beyond that, and also showing the children that you don't have to be a soccer player to be in the sport. There's other ways you can do it. So I think that representation is something that I feel like I struggle with, showing the children that play for PMSS, the Curo kids that we also administer our program to. And the coaching education, I think, is something that we do need to amp up on. You know, we have coaches that come with the D license. At PMSS, we have a criteria of coaches. D license, you have to also have a police clearance because, you know, you work with children. We expose them to first aid. We have WAMACA, Women and Men Against Child Abuse, that also come in and tell the coaches about dealing with children and how it can be inappropriate, and how to work with children appropriately. But sometimes that is not enough. There is a tool that is needed on the field, because you can learn something theory, but practicing it, you need those tools as well. So I think on the coaching education side, if there is a platform where coaches can learn on the field as well, and not just a program that is a week long, something that continues on, and a football development structure is what we need. A pathway, an identity of this is how we know how the Spanish players go through. We know how the Dutch players go through, the English players. We need that for South Africa. We need our players to be playing in the Premier League, in English Premier League. We need an identity. And we need them to also come back and represent us and play for our national team. I think Banyana, you see where the players are. You see where there's players in South America, we have players in Europe. I think when they come back and they play in the national team, you see the fruits. If we can just follow that process and keep it going, and have a structure that if I'm gone, someone else comes in, there's a structure, not somebody just trying to make it work with whatever knowledge they have. So I think those are the challenges I see. Women representation, I'll always say it's something that is needed. At some stage at MT Sports, we had an office of ladies only. And it was a different environment. It was nice to see that we can work together and create something. We need more of that, and allowing us to explore our involvement, seeing you, Chloe, in such a nice, like just in a space where you're anchoring a show. It's something good to see. I think we need more of that.
We definitely do. I agree with you, and more also in our Formula One space.
We never hear the end of that.
No, I'm not here. When I'm here, you'll hear more.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe just to, I fully agree. You know, obviously, I mean, having been around, we need more. I just don't think that we've got enough women in this, not only football, in the sporting field, both on and off the field. And it's encouraging also to see, you know, somebody as young as you are coming through.
And Kaylin's also young.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
still young. Still young.
we need more. I was talking to Chloe of the camera that I looked at our team in the office, and yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take it up with them. We don't have a lady in our team, so we need more women journalists in our space. We need more administrators. We need more players. And the people are there. We just need to find them, especially in terms of players. We just need to find them. Administrators need to be trained. They need the right qualifications, and then we have to make the opportunities available for ladies. Somebody was saying that during COVID, the countries that are led by women handled the pandemic better. That says much.
Future is female.
The future is female.
when
we know how to get things done.
Read between the lines.
When you send the women, it gets done. You know, so yeah, I guess also that's part of why we invited you guys here to say, look, we appreciate what the ladies are doing in our country, and you know, we need to give you guys your flowers. Some of us who have been here long enough, we have tried in little spaces that we operate in to sort of do a lot of and one thing I've noticed that we don't do enough mentorship. We have been around, and we know if young people come and they want to understand what happens in our space, especially for me in my profession as a writer, as a journalist. I've also done a little bit of PR, but it's not really my thing. But I've done it before, so yeah, I understand the whole ecosystem of how things work, and it's quite encouraging to see our ladies taking up the opportunities, and you know, long may it continue.
Yeah, I do think representation matters. You know, when girls can see that, you know, if they look at us on TV and they see what we're doing, and if they can put themselves in our shoes, I think that is what's going to drive the future. You know, when they see people that look like them, people that, you know, do the same thing that they do, they can see a future. I think that is what we need.
I want to talk about the mental aspect quickly, Kaylin, in terms of, you know, I've spoken to a lot of footballers, not only female but also males, who think that, you know, psychology is also just as important in terms of, yes, there's a physical part and maybe we only look at that, but the mental aspect is also just as important. Your take on that? Do you think that perhaps also the inclusion of professional psychologists being included in team setups is an important thing going forward?
Absolutely. I think now more than ever, the mental side of any sportsman is of the utmost importance, because your body can feel good, but if your mind's not good, you're not going to perform at your best. And now over the last couple of years, we've really seen a lot of professional athletes, you know, preach about mental health and being, you know, in the right mindset to perform at their best. And I think that is definitely something that needs to be incorporated. Men's game, women's game, doesn't matter. And also just for the kids to also have that, you know, resource, because as we grow, your mind grows, and what you feed your mind, sometimes it goes with you for a very long time. And I think if we can really, you know, put the importance in the kids' minds, I think when they get older, they'll have a different, you know, perspective of things. But yeah, I think that is definitely important in sports.
Yeah, I think maybe for me, I just want to check to both of you. A key part of your job is media. to you, Lele. Sometimes she's calling, you look at my parcel list.
Yeah.
Because yes, she has to make sure that she gets the word out there.
For sure.
Just your experiences dealing with us in the media, how has it been? And also you, Kaylin, sometimes we ask you for interviews, and sometimes you really, really don't feel like doing interviews. And which is one thing which I've always said. Though it will be bad for me if you don't want to talk to me for whatever reason, not being rude or arrogant about it, but you are not in the right space. I'll have to respect that because also you don't want to interview somebody who is not going to give you much.
Yes.
So just the whole media, I don't want to call it media game, but the media situation. How do you deal with media? And how have you find us?
I think it's
Because we can be a nightmare sometimes.
yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. I think it's been encouraging.
Yeah.
And encouraging because as a young lady, being in a space where majority it's older men, getting that respect from the journalists, the media, the crews, people answering my call, and not because it's Spitzel's daughter, but because it's Lele.
Yeah.
I think I've been embraced, and I'm so grateful for it because I also have learned that you also need to pour in other people's cups, right? So for me, it's a give. Like I give, you take, and it's transactional at the end of the day, but also in a respectful way. I feel like I've been allowed to assert myself in the space. I don't feel I've never had a situation where I've been put down by any of the journalists. But I also make sure that I'm heard. So I feel like I've been embraced. Honestly, I always say I've got such a good relationships with Mahlatse and all the other journalists because they've embraced me as a little sister, or and also they guide me. They say I get guided as well, and we have an amazing team as well at the office that also backs me. We all work together. If there's an issue about this and that, we work together, and it's teamwork at the end of the day. Football is a team sport, and in every aspect, I've had that opportunity, and it's amazing.
And by the way, Coach Piso was a beast with the media. Oh.
No, it's pressure. He is the beast. He is
sound bites, I don't know, he has been on a fairy line one or two times.
A few times.
Don't worry, I have as well. Don't worry.
Kaylin.
I have a love-hate relationship with journalists. And it's crazy though, because I do have a lot of friends in the media space, and journalists, photography, and all of that. But there are some that drive the positive narratives, and obviously there's some that look for the juicy negative narrative, and I think
Clickbait, yeah?
clickbait, that's the one. But yeah, I do think that media should be a way of embracing someone, and rather than tearing them down, rather build them up, because your story that you write on a certain personality or an athlete, that goes with them throughout their career, and sometimes you don't mean what you say, and it's just something that you found little bits of a story and you're putting it into one. Sometimes it can be a bad thing, but I think obviously the journalism has grown a lot in our country, obviously because sport is such a family, it's such a commercial thing now, and obviously the positive side of it is the good articles, the good photos of players and athletes out there, but I just think that sometimes the narratives can be,
Do you call them out when you see the negative ones, or you just let it go?
Sometimes when I see them outside and I'm like, hey bro, like,
what was that?
Yeah, that was not okay, but you know what, I'll let you pass on that one, but if I see it again, don't ask me for an interview again. So yeah, but the thing is, I have a good relationship with a lot of them, and there's a few that sometimes I just give them a side eye, and I'm like, now, like, don't talk to me, but no, it's good, and it's good and it's bad, but we have some really good people in that space, and I just hope that they continue with the positivity.
With my experience, it's a very you have to navigate a fine line. If you are a reporter dealing with people, I mean,
Are you justifying your
no,
actions
I'm
today?
not. Because you have a job to do, or players have got jobs to do, and then we also have got jobs to do. Sometimes we are caught in a situation where maybe calling a spade may offend the players or whoever you are reporting on, and that creates problems. That's why there's always been this us and them for a very, very long time. And I see now even with when we're now a lot of people are in the podcast game. I was speaking to Josta the other day. He's got a podcast. He is able to get the players because they're comfortable with him as a former player. When I call, the very same players, they say,
Yeah, they're very
because
reluctant.
the thinking is that I'm always going to be hard, or I'm going to ask the tough questions and that kind of thing. So it's a fine line that we have to navigate around all the time, and sometimes it's just what it is, you know. I think if I was a player and I had a bad game, I will have to accept that I had a bad game. If you write about me saying, "Ish, Mahlatse, you had a bad game," then I'll have to accept it. But sometimes guys can be personal, and
Sure.
that's wrong, and that's not what is taught at journalism school. So
Yeah.
you have to be professional, you have to be fair, you have to be balanced, and you have to be respectful, because nowadays also bearing in mind issues of mental health and that kind of thing. You don't want to bash people too much, because then that's wrong, you know.
Yeah.
Also the team. So yeah, it's a very, very difficult.
Thank you for that
Yeah,
influencer.
we always want to walk. We're always walking on eggshells, because at least I never wrote anything bad about you. Otherwise, this would have been a very, very awkward conversation.
Well, ladies, I have to thank you. He's also decided to do a tell-all and apologize for all his actions he's done in the past. But that's how we'll unfortunately have to wrap up the show, because we run out of time. But it's been absolutely amazing. You guys are stunning. Thank you for the chat. Thank you for making time. And let's do a part 2. Yeah, it shouldn't end only
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
We need to continue.
Definitely.
That's how we wrap up the Arena Sports Show. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we do. If Mahlatse Mphahlele has offended you, he apologizes profusely. That's what is happening here today. But from us, it's cheers. Goodbye.